It's the fall of 2002, 8 Mile had just been released, GTA Vice City had us all living like Scarface, and in the WWE, well, they were on a great run. The brand split that took place earlier in the year was finally working. It was finally doing what it was intended to do, creating new stars, giving us fresh matches. The WWE felt refreshed. It felt like a totally different promotion compared to earlier in the year. No more 48-year-old Hulk Hogan as the WWE champ. Which, by the way, saying 48-year-old Hulk Hogan feels so weird. It seems like Hogan's been like 60 for the past 40 years. SmackDown and Raw were completely different from one another. SmackDown had the iconic SmackDown 6 tearing it up every single night. The tag division was on fire. Brock Lesnar went from being the next big thing to the big thing. With Paul Heyman running SmackDown, SmackDown was can't miss television. Meanwhile on Raw, fan favorites like Chris Jericho, Booker T, RVD were slowly getting into the main event scene. Triple H was champion. Eric Bischoff was that piece of shit heel general manager that everyone hated. And that's about it. Raw wasn't the best in 2002, but it was still far from the worst. It had its highs, but it also had its lows. I can't believe we actually got the Katie Vick storyline. But yeah, SmackDown was more than making up for Raw's shortcomings. In August of 2002, the WWE held one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time, SummerSlam 2002. Yeah, SummerSlam was a card stacked beyond comprehension, and then a few months later, they gave us another great all-time pay-per-view, No Mercy 2002, one of the greatest tag team matches of all time, plus Hell in a Cell, Brock Lesnar vs. The Undertaker. The WWE was simply on a roll, and even though it was SmackDown carrying most of it, Raw had something huge planned for Survivor Series. The hype going into Survivor Series 2002 was insane. Everything was falling into place and it was clear that the WWE was setting up something special. Survivor Series, live from Madison Square Garden, New York City. Brock Lesnar as champion on one side, Triple H as champion on the other side, rumors of a surprise return, a new match type in the main event. It had everything set to be a special night, and ladies and gentlemen, it was magical. So let's get our Rockaware clothes on, and let's go back to 2002 and take a look at what made Survivor Series 2002 so special. The show took place at MSG, the world's most famous arena, home of so many iconic events, along with, of course, classic WWE pay-per-views. This is the Mecca, and then you add in the raucous New York City crowd who does not give a fuck. It is probably the best arena to hold a WWE event in for sure. From the beginning of the show, you knew the crowd was just going to be really invested in it. The pyro went off, and the fans were going absolutely insane. What I love about these classic MSG shows is the entrance stage. So it's not some elaborate stage with big screens everywhere. Honestly, it's just an entrance, literally just a door. But it makes the moments feel so much more special. Like in 2008 when John Cena came out from his return and he comes out and the fans are reaching over trying to high five him and touch him and he's just standing there soaking it in and the crowd's going absolutely mental. It was iconic. The MSG small stage is iconic and I really wish they still used it. Well, the show started off hot. We got an elimination tables match, Jeff Hardy and the Dudley Boys versus 3 Minute Warning and Rico. Side note, 02 and 03 Jeff Hardy aesthetic is probably my favorite Jeff Hardy aesthetic. Man, listen, it's the Dudleys and a Hardy in a tables match. Obviously, it's going to be fun. Jeff did a swanton off the balcony because why not? It's MSG and there's a table involved. Jamal hit a top rope splash to drive Jeff through a table. We got 3Ds. It was a simple but fun match. I mean, how are you gonna complain about seeing the Hardys and the Dudleys in a tables match? 2002 was the year that really helped Trish Stratus become an all-time great women's wrestler. For the entirety of the Attitude Era, Trish was always the manager, the eye candy, or involved in some crazy wild storylines with Vince or a love triangle with Triple H and Stephanie. But once the brand split happened, it was definitely one of the best things to happen to women's wrestling, especially on the Raw side. See, starting from 2002, once Raw got the women's championship division, they quickly started getting some really great talent. So Trish, Jazz, Victoria, Gail Kim, and Lita, who would get injured but would come back later. Now, the division is not treated like how it is today, but it was a huge step up from, say, 1999. They were taken a little more seriously. And by this point in 2002, Trish Stratus was really improving in the ring. A lot of people forget when Trish first came into the company, she did not come from a wrestling background, she barely had any training, she was just there for her looks, she was there to be a manager. But by 2002, she was putting in work in the ring and she was becoming a fan favorite. So at this show, Survivor Series 2002, we got Trish Stratus versus Victoria for the Women's Championship in a hardcore match. This match is so underrated. Now, this wasn't some singles match where they got like 1 or 2 weapon spots just to call it a hardcore match. No, these women actually got hardcore. Victoria rammed Trish's head into a trash can lid. Trish set up an ironing board in the corner and whipped Victoria into it. Trish was literally beating the crap out of Victoria with a Singapore cane, and at one point Victoria had a bloody nose. They legit had a hardcore match, and it was a damn good one too. Victoria tried to spray her with a fire extinguisher, and eventually Victoria won. It was Victoria's first WWE Women's title win. After this, they would really start experimenting more with the women's division on Raw. So after this, we would have more hardcore matches, cage matches, and eventually in 2004, Trish and Lita would main event Raw. I'm not saying this started everything, but I think this definitely helped the division. Brock Lesnar versus Big Show for the WWE Championship. 2002 in the WWE was Brock Lesnar's year. In his rookie year, he became the King of the Ring and WWE Champion in 8 months. He was dominating everyone in his way. He beat The Rock at SummerSlam, he beat Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match, and he killed Hulk Hogan. Which, I'm not saying it's hard to kill a 40-year-old Hulk Hogan, but he still killed Hulk Hogan. After months of being a monster heel, fans just couldn't hate him. He started getting more and more cheers, and then when he came out here at Survivor Series, he got that pop like he was the biggest babyface in the company. Loud chants of "Let's go Lesnar." New York loved him. Everyone just loved the guy. He became a top guy, he was champion, he was a dominant champion, and he was the future. 25 years old, the youngest champion at that time. He was unstoppable. So who was the jabroni on the other side that he was going to beat up tonight? The Big Show. Yeah, the Big Show in 2002 was a meme. Big Show spent most of 2002 jobbing to mid-carders on Raw. He was in the failed NWO and did absolutely nothing. Like, think of 2002 before Survivor Series and think of the Big Show, and do you remember anything? Because honestly, I didn't. But for the month before the show, Big Show suddenly started getting pushed, and pushed hard. Paul Heyman worked his magic and somehow turned the meme known as the Big Show into a legit contender. He was destroying everyone on Smackdown. He even threw The Undertaker and Lesnar off the stage casually like it was nothing. The match was hype, the crowd was really invested in it, they're on their feet chanting "Let's go Lesnar," the flashbulbs were going off, the stare down was cool, Taz and Michael Cole did their thing on commentary, and what I think really helped this match was, so Brock Lesnar is huge, right? And Big Show is even bigger than him. So even though Big Show was a meme, at the end of the day, for the past month, he's been wilding out. And also, he's just bigger than Brock Lesnar. He's a giant. He's huge. So you kind of forget in the moment, like, hey, this guy kind of jobbed out for the whole year. Now, this match wasn't a 5-star classic. We'll talk about that later. But Big Show put in work. He drove Lesnar into the ring post. Lesnar was putting in work, doing suplexes and eventually an F5. And the crowd was into it because it's like, at the end of the day, you're seeing a man lift up a 500-pound man and throw him like he's nothing. So Lesnar hit the F5, 500 pounds in the air, casually, no big deal, and then it happened. So the ref was dead and the new one was coming. The ref starts counting and the crowd is counting along. MSG is on its feet. 1, 2, and then Paul Heyman pulls out the referee out of the ring. Paul Heyman just stopped Brock Lesnar. His client, his boy, his homie, his superstar. He just stopped Brock Lesnar from winning the match, and the crowd is shook. Taz and Cole are shook. Brock looked like he's about to kill a motherfucker. Heyman's running, and Lesnar runs after him, but Big Show grabs him and chokeslams him on top of a chair. And boom, he did it. Big Show in 4 minutes and 10 seconds ended an 8-month win streak of Brock Lesnar. As crazy as it sounds, a man who was jobbing all of 2002 just beat Brock Lesnar's 8-month unbeaten streak. It worked. If you're talking about short WWE Championship matches, this match is definitely up there because the crowd was invested the whole time. They're just trying to see, what is Brock Lesnar going to do to this giant? And in the 4 minutes, surprisingly, Big Show got a decent amount of offense. At one point, Brock Lesnar is trying to hit a chair at Big Show and he just punches it away. And it's like, whoa, Big Show, relax. The Rock couldn't beat Lesnar. Undertaker couldn't beat Lesnar. And to be honest, Big Show couldn't beat Lesnar either. But Paul Heyman could. It was a really good angle in my opinion, and this would slowly set up Brock Lesnar's revenge tour, which led to the Royal Rumble 2003 victory and then his classic feud with Kurt Angle, but this just made Lesnar an even bigger babyface. I think this actually helped him. The streak ending here was the total opposite of Goldberg's streak ending in WCW. That led nowhere and kind of helped the downfall. Whereas here, at the end of the day, it didn't really hurt Brock Lesnar. Like I said, it made him a more likable babyface. The 2002 Smackdown Tag Team division was legendary, and the best part was they were just throwing around random tag teams together and having classic matches. Kurt and Benoit are pure wrestlers, well, you're a tag team too now. But it worked. SmackDown 2002 had so much talent, and the tag team division was prime examples. So after the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian run kind of phased out by the end of 2001, tag team wrestling kind of slowed down in the company. But yo, the SmackDown 6-man, well, they made tag team wrestling cool again. No Mercy 2002, one of my favorite matches of all time. Edge and Ray versus Kurt and Benoit. 5-star classic, go watch it right now. But how do you top something like that at the next pay-per-view? How do you make it better? Rematch? Nah. How about we add Eddie and Chavo? Ladies and gentlemen, we got Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Eddie and Chavo versus Angle and Benoit in an elimination tag team match for the tag team titles. The best part about this matches is that you have it all. You want physical intensity in wrestling with suplexes and submissions? You got Kurt and Benoit. Flawless lucha style? You got Guerreros and Rey Mysterio. You want a cool guy from Toronto? You got Edge. The chemistry they had in here was amazing. It takes 2 to tango and 6 to have a 3-team tag match, and they had all the chemistry in the world. I just love this match. It's so good. Now, I'm not saying it's technically a better match than the No Mercy one. It's not. But yo, it's amazing. There are a lot of things in wrestling that people say were amazing or good, but it's just nostalgia most of the time. The SmackDown 6 though, no. It's one of those things that were truly as good as everyone says it was. This is definitely one of the best multi-team tag matches ever. It's 20 minutes of awesomeness. Eventually, Los Guerreros won the title by lying, cheating, and stealing. They used the belt as a weapon when the ref was not looking. But yo, this match is amazing. I mean, how could it not be? Just look at the names involved. 100% you're a fan of at least 2 of those people in that match. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you have seen it, go rewatch it. Hell, rewatch the whole pay-per-view. Chris Nowinski comes out, so he's out here cutting a promo, blah blah blah, New York sucks, blah blah blah, I went to Harvard, you didn't. Matt Hardy comes out and does the thing, minus the Harvard part, but yeah, blah blah blah, New York sucks. The crowd is booing, and then it happened. The greatest wrestler of all time made his return to the WWE. The GOAT, the icon, the legend, the one behind the greatest promo in wrestling history, the big booty daddy, Scott Steiner. Sirens begin to play, and his theme to this day bangs beyond comprehension. Who knew using sirens as a sample would make a banger beat? He comes out, man, and when I tell you he got an insane pop, he got an insane pop. The crowd was going crazy, his entrance was perfect, and it was made better by the small MSG entrance. Everything about it was perfect. The lighting was perfect, the theme was perfect, the crowd is perfect, the commentary was perfect. He goes in there and just destroys both Chris and Matt. Man, imagine how cool it would be to be a wrestler and make your return or debut in a company at Madison Square Garden. Taz did it in 2000 and it was epic, and so did Scott Steiner here, and it was epic. He came off as such a huge star. Sadly though, this was the peak of Scott Steiner's WWE career. But yeah, let's not talk about what happened after the Scott Steiner. But man, what a moment it was. The first ever Elimination Chamber match. So live in Madison Square Garden, New York City, the main event to a great show. We had great tag matches, a WWE Championship match that had the fans on the edge of their seat, a table match, a hardcore women's match, the return of Scott Steiner, and now it was time to cap it all off. There was so much hype going into this match, nobody knew what to expect, and then you look at the contenders and you knew it was going to be fire. Triple H, the new World Heavyweight Champion, who was just handed the title because Brock went to Smackdown. But now, if he really wanted to prove that he was the champion, he had to walk into the Elimination Chamber and beat 5 other men. He had to go to war. And then you have Rob Van Dam, fan favorite, high flyer, the last year's Invasion standout star, and now he was one of the most over wrestlers in the company. But was it finally gonna be his time to be champion? Chris Jericho, beginning of the year he had it all. He was the undisputed champion, but then after WrestleMania he's been on a downfall. He lost that title to Triple H and now he's here with nothing. Can he finally get his revenge against Triple H? Can he finally become champion once again? Booker T, 5-time WCW champion, a star in WCW, and now it was his time to shine in the Elimination Chamber. Can he bring home the title? Can he become the 6-time champion? Kane, the big red monster, the man who, okay, honestly, at this point in time, Kane wasn't the same badass. He was kind of coming off the Katie Vick situation, and he was a meme. But it's Kane, so we'll ignore that part. Last but not least, Shawn Michaels. He's here, he's back. He returned at SummerSlam, pulled off a miracle, but then got killed right after the match by Triple H and a sledgehammer. But he's back again. But is he 100%? Will he ever be 100%? This is the same man who people thought was back for only one match, but now he's going to war with 5 other men for the title. Will he survive? Can he win? And can he pull off the miracle for the 2nd time? If that doesn't get you hyped, don't worry, I know exactly what will. Go watch the promo for this match with Saliva always playing in the background. Yo, there's just something about those Ruthless Aggression promos. They just hit too different. This match was stacked because every single person in this match would go on to become a world title holder later on. Nobody knew what to expect from this match, but nobody walked away disappointed. RVD and Triple H started off the match and they just got physical as soon as the match started. Like 4 minutes in, the cage was already used as a weapon and Triple H was already bleeding. RVD was out here hitting rolling thunders, Triple H was putting in that work, Jericho came in, Booker T went in, the match picked up. But for the whole time, this match was physical, it was violent, it was rough on their bodies, and you can see the pain when they would land on this cage. This was the old Elimination Chamber, the huge bulky Elimination Chamber. There was no padding here, it was just unforgiving steel. Triple H was just bleeding everywhere, and at one point RVD almost killed Triple H. So RVD had Triple H laying on the ground. He went up to do the 5-star frog splash, but he felt like he wasn't high enough, as is the case with RVD usually. So he goes on top of the pod and he barely has enough room to stand, and he can't really jump, but he has to more like fall down onto Triple H because there's no room for him to stand up. He falls down doing the 5-star frog splash and he lands on Triple H's throat, crushing his larynx. Yo, it was crazy. Watching all the times Triple H has gotten seriously injured and still continued to finish the match makes you realize how much he loves his business. Triple H was in the hospital for 2 days after this. It was bad. The referee was holding up the X and Triple H still finished the match. These men were just putting their bodies on the line. They were taking all the bumps on the cage face first into the cage, and eventually Booker T took out RVD and then Jericho took out Booker T. Kane came in and started destroying everyone, and Shawn Michaels was the last one in. But yeah, it took 3 straight finishers to eliminate Kane. The final 3 men were Jericho, Triple H, and Shawn Michaels, and these 3 went off. Especially Jericho and Shawn Michaels, they were killing each other. They were doing these crazy spots, lion salts, DDTs, Boston crabs, blood was everywhere. Triple H was dying. I don't know how he was still wrestling. The crowd was on their feet. Everyone knew we were watching something special, something different. This was unlike anything we had seen in the WWE in a long time. So Triple H tried doing a pedigree to Jericho, but Jericho fought out of it and put him in the walls of Jericho. And then out of nowhere, Shawn Michaels gets to his feet and boom, sweet chin music, and eliminates Chris Jericho. And then there were 2. Who else could it have been? Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. Triple H turned on Shawn Michaels, and then they had a match at SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels pulled off the miracle, but Triple H tried ending Shawn Michaels' career for good with that sledgehammer after the match, and now, around 2 months later, they're here at it again. Madison Square Garden, New York City, World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Both men bloody messes, both men hurt, both men tired. Triple H needs to go to a hospital as soon as possible. And now it was time for them to give it their all. Triple H launched Shawn Michaels into the pods and the glass broke and it looked like Shawn Michaels had died. In the ring, it was time to finish the match. Triple H hits him with a pedigree. Hunter is still so tired. He slowly crawls over with one arm, puts it around Michaels, and the referee starts counting. 1, 2, but no, Michaels got his shoulder up. MSG erupted. Shawn Michaels had hope. After being beaten, bloody, bruised, almost killed, he still had hope. See, it's moments like this that make me love wrestling. The emotion, the drama, the storytelling, and yes, even the violence, the physicality. Listen, man, you're not going to get this action from anywhere else. Triple H wants to do it one more time. He tries to do the pedigree once again. Shawn Michaels slips out, counters it. Boom, sweet shit music. He falls on Triple H. 1, 2, there's no way he can win, right? 3, Shawn Michaels won the first ever Elimination Chamber match. Like I said, man, it's moments like this, the storytelling that makes you appreciate wrestling. What a magical moment. HBK somehow, someway, after almost dying at SummerSlam, after nobody knowing if he was going to come back for one more match, came back. He took all the bumps, all the shots, and beat Triple H and 4 other men to become champion once again. In 1998, nobody knew if he was ever gonna come back, but he did, and he's champion once again. Confetti is falling down, JR is screaming, Michaels is crying, there's blood everywhere, Triple H is basically dead, he needs to go to the hospital ASAP. What a moment, what a celebration. It was official, HBK was back. What a show. I will always love 2002 WWE, and this pay-per-view is just amazing. Go watch this show, not a bad match on this card. What a show. The WWE was on such a run. From around June 2002 until WrestleMania 19 is some of my favorite wrestling television of all time. Is it perfect? No, but it's damn enjoyable. This is an all-time great show. The only bad thing about this show is, what the hell was HBK doing with his tights and his hair? But man, 2002 WWE has a special place in my heart. And even if you didn't grow up watching this, or you weren't even alive during this, or whatever, trust me, go back and watch this and it'll be hard for you not to be invested. Survivor Series 2002 was just special. This was back when Survivor Series actually meant something, and I know they're deeply trying to rebuild the Survivor Series brand, and I appreciate them for it. But yo, Survivor Series around this era, they just hit different.